Hey everyone, and welcome to day 105 of Project Houston 245. And I'm still out here reviewing shoes, even though we're 3 weeks from race day. It's not yet the end of 2024, so I haven't put together my best shoes of the year so far. This is the new one, the Mizuno Neo Zen, and we're going to try and get a review and a shoe off of this one in here. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah, let's get to it. Guess what we got here, everyone? I haven't opened the box yet. Oh, Khan's very interested in it too. He's right here, just off the frame, trying to get my way. Here it is, the Mizuno Neo Zen. All right, let's take that tag off. Very squishy Energy NXT foam. Looks like we've got the same outsole rubber as the Mizuno Neo Vista. The channel is just leading to the midsole foam, not quite as deep because there's no plastic plate in there. It has an upper a little bit more porous than the Neo Vista's upper, but it still feels kind of knit. Still has this heel that comes up with this tag here. There goes Khan, getting in the frame. It's all right, it's his house too. Let me get this tag out here. The laces are the same as the Neo Vista. There's no stuffer in there. Removable sock liner, which looks pretty standard. And underneath that is a pretty standard Strobel lasting board. But it feels pretty light. It looks pretty comfortable. I like the look of it. Well, I don't know if I like this camo, this mystery shoe design here. I kind of prefer the zebra stripes over the spots, but I'm sure it will grow on me, especially if the shoe looks as bouncy and comfortable as it feels. So I can't speak to the stack height of the shoe because I'm not exactly sure. I do know it's a 6mm drop. At least that's the information that I get from some third-party sources. It looks like a pretty decent stack height, somewhere in the high 30s. Could even break 40. I don't know. All of those trainers are always kind of flirting with those high 30s, low 40s right now. And that 6mm drop is pretty common, and it tends to work for my mechanics as well. All right, it's time to weigh them. 8.4 ounces for a US men's size 9, and that translates to 240 grams, which I think is pretty lightweight for a daily trainer. Right shoe, 238 grams, so a 2-gram difference. For some reason, usually the left shoes come to me with a couple grams lighter, but in this case, the right shoe is a couple grams lighter. I'm gonna be happy with that 8.4, 240 gram weight, especially for a daily training shoe. Can't wait to get these on foot. All right, so I have the Mizuno Neo Zen on feet now, and it looks like it's true to size for me. I have plenty of room up front. There's a full thumb width and room to spare. Seems like there's more room in the left side. I think that's my smaller foot. Yeah, and I feel like I can splay my toes. I'm doing that in my toe socks right now. You can't see it. But yeah, if I was between sizes, I might even consider sizing down in these. But I think true to size is going to work for most people. If you find that you're true to size, but some shoes feel kind of snug on you, then I don't think you're gonna have that problem in this shoe. It feels great. It feels really, bouncy in that soft way that the Neo Vista does. This almost makes me wonder why the Neo Vista has to exist. Although I feel like I am cheating on a friend by saying that, because the Neo Vista is one of my favorite shoes this year. In fact, I'm going to grab a Neo Vista and put it on one foot and keep the Neo Zen on the other. Okay, now having these in the context of one another, I can see why they both exist. The Neo Vista is still a lot more built up, especially in the rear foot, or I should say proximal midfoot. you know, where that heel bevel really comes to flat. There's just a lot of impact protection there, and I can feel the stability offered by that big plastic plate under there. The Neo Zen does not have that, but I don't think it's going to need it either, because I can tell it's certainly very much closer to the ground in that same part of the foot than the Neo Vista is. But that's not to say it's low slung or close to the ground. I think it's going to be more something like this would be a Mach 6, whereas this would be more like a Bondi. They're not like those shoes, but if I'm going to compare them using another brand, you know what I mean. All right, I want to go run in these. Okay, it's time for a shoe off. I've got the Mizuno Neo Zen here, and I'm going to be testing it against the 361 degrees Eleos, the Nike Pegasus Plus, the Hoka Mach 6, the New Balance Rebel V4, the Topo Specter 2, and the On Cloudmonster Hyper. All right, I've got the Mizuno Neo Zen here and the 361 degrees Eleos, both of which are daily trainers with a 6mm drop and have pretty bouncy, responsive midsoles. However, side by side, the Neo Zen is a lot bouncier. It's kind of a lot more fun, although a little bit less stable than the Eleos. I don't know the stack height of the Neo Zen, but it feels a lot higher than this 36mm heel and 30mm forefoot in the Eleos. So I would guess it's closer to 40 in the heel, but that would be a guess. There's certainly a lot more bounce, and the Energy NXT blend in this shoe is not the same as in the Neo Vista. This is a nitrogen infused TPU and has a lot of bounce even in this cold weather. You can tell because I'm wearing tights that it is below freezing right now, but this midsole is still lively, feels great, doesn't feel hard in the cold. All right, I've got the Mizuno Neo Zen alongside the Nike Pegasus Plus now, and the Pegasus Plus with that full Zoom X midsole you would think would be a lot more responsive, but I think it's the Zoom X compound they have in the Vaporfly 3, which is a little more rubbery, not as responsive. And with the lower stack height and the 10mm drop in the Pegasus Plus, honestly, next to the Neo Zen, the Pegasus Plus feels kind of slappy. Feels like even if I try to land on the rear foot, that forefoot comes down a little slappy. And if I run in more of my natural stride, midfoot at an easy pace, the forefoot seems like there's just not a lot of cushioning there. Whereas the Neo Zen is just fun and bouncy and cushy. Now, I guess it depends what you want to use your Pegasus Plus for. If you're using it as a performance trainer, something to pick up the pace, good, fine, it'll work on that. But if you want kind of just a premium feel and a daily trainer, you can pay less money for the Mizuno Neo Zen and be perfectly happy. It is less stable, but I think for your easy miles, you're worrying less about that. All right, here I got the Hoka Mach 6 on my left foot and the Mizuno Neo Zen on my right foot. And as I think is going to be the case with most of these shoes, the Neo Zen is the bouncier foot. And it feels softer at this, we'll call it low 8s pace that I'm doing today. Kind of a recovery pace, aerobic pace. The Mach 6 I think might be more versatile, and if you will have watched my running shoe superlatives for 2024, that's what the Mach 6 is. The most versatile, best value for the year. I think if I'm gonna go out and do a base day and was gonna pick up the pace a little bit, or include some intervals, or was going to travel and do a variety of runs, some workouts, some base days, then the Mach 6 would be a better choice. But to bounce along at an easy pace, if I wanted just a fun response, the Neo Zen would definitely be up there. I think it can do a lot of the same things. It depends whether I want that fun bounce or whether I want something that just kind of rolls along naturally. So yeah, this they actually feel a lot closer to each other than I figured. Just the Zen is softer yet more responsive, and the Mach 6 is more natural but a little firmer. All right, so now I've got the Mizuno Neo Zen on the left foot and the New Balance Rebel V4 on the right. And of all the shoes in this lineup, the Rebel V4 is the lightest, but it also, I think, has the least special midsole. This fuel cell midsole, it is a blend of PIBA and EVA, but it's mostly EVA, 80% EVA. And I don't even think it's a supercritical EVA. To give the Rebel V4 its due, this particular pair is a bit long in the tooth. I think it's got over 200 miles on it, and it's nearing the end of its useful life. So to test it against a pair of Neo Zen that has about 23 miles on it might be a little unfair. But even though the Neo Zen is a heavier shoe, it doesn't feel heavier just because it's so much bouncier, so much more fun. So maybe what I'm really getting from this comparison is that it's time to retire my Rebel V4s. But what I would suggest also is that if you're looking to spend $140 on a pair of New Balance Rebel V4, pay the extra $10 and get them Mizuno Neo Zen, or pay the same amount of money and get the Hoka Mach 6. Hey, I got the Topo Specter 2. Well, I was going to say the Topo Specter 2 has a better lockdown, but the shoelace just came untied. Let me fix that real quick. So yeah, aside from the shoe coming untied, I think that tells me even when I'm doing a shoe off, I still need to remember to double knot my shoes. Anyway, the Topo Specter 2 does have a more secure lockdown. It is a firm bouncy, whereas the Neo Zen is a soft bouncy. I would say there's a decent amount of crossover use case scenario with these shoes. They're both $150 USD. I could do daily training in either one of them. But if I were going to do some intervals, I would not hesitate to reach for the Specter 2. However, if I needed a recovery day, then I would most assuredly reach for the Neo Zen, because that soft bounciness is fun, well, even when I'm running at a slow pace. All right, last one, the Mizuno Neo Zen versus the On Cloudmonster Hyper. The Cloudmonster Hyper is not a shoe I run a lot in, but I am liking it. I didn't get it at full price. I wouldn't pay $220 for this shoe. Anyway, the Cloudmonster Hyper is a lot more stable, especially in the rear foot, where that Helion foam is. Where the Helion HF, the PIBA, is in the forefoot, it really helps you on the toe off. If you're gonna pick up the pace on your training run, then popping off the toe, the Cloudmonster Hyper is gonna help you more than the Neo Zen. But if you're gonna just roll back and take it easy, or land primarily on the midfoot or rear foot, all right, so I think, as has been a problem with GoPros in the past, in the cold weather, I think it got a little too cold and it powered itself off. So to continue that last comparison, the On Cloudmonster Hyper, I think, is going to give you a lot more help popping off the toe where that Helion HF is, sandwiched in with the regular Helion foam. Whereas if you're going to sit back at an easy pace on the rear foot or midfoot, then the Neo Zen is going to be a lot more comfortable at that effort. All right, shoe talk time. The Mizuno Neo Zen. If you haven't already gathered yet and you have seen my 2024 shoe superlatives video, the Neo Zen is my honorable mention that I left as a mystery, which is fitting because it was supposed to be a mystery shoe. This is mystery shoe number 1 from Mizuno. It's a fun shoe. I don't know whether I would have given it, it probably would have been competing for most fun shoe with the Hoka Cielo X1, although I still think the Cielo X1 is going to be the most fun shoe of the year. But this guy is fun and something that I wouldn't mind reaching for on most of my base days. Could you pick up the pace in it? Yeah, you could, and it's bouncy. It would certainly help with that, but if you're getting into the really fast intervals, fast reps, this is not your guy. And I have taken it on a few intervals. I was guide running with Eric the other day, and we did some faster intervals between 5:20 and 6-minute pace with this guy, and it worked fine, but not something I would do for a whole workout. It worked a lot better in something in the mid to high 6s range, but again, that is not its strongest suit. Its strongest suit is just spending a good amount of base miles at an easy pace and just getting that nice, fun, inviting bounce. Not all that dissimilarly to its companion, the Neo Vista. However, the Neo Vista is a different kind of softness. It's an EVA softness, but it's the softest EVA that I've ever run in, and it is stabilized by that plate, whereas the Neo Zen does not have the plate there. They both have that same outsole, though, which I've not run in either of these shoes in wet conditions, so I can't speak to the wet traction, although I can imagine just from rubbing my hand on it that the wet traction might be a little bit lacking, and that's something I usually put a lot of stock in. So probably not going to reach for this guy if it's raining, but if I'm only doing easy miles, it wouldn't be that bad. Besides, who would want to mess up that black and white colorway anyway? I think if you're looking for an all-arounder, you might be better to spend your money on something like the Hoka Mach 6. I've been talking about this shoe all year, and I think it's going to do those easy miles, those workout miles, maybe even some of those long run miles or high interval miles a lot better, and you're going to count on the same ride each time. But if you want just something to enjoy a good, fun, bouncy ride, and you don't care about it being a little bit unstable, then my money is on the Mizuno Neo Zen. About the only thing I would compare it to would be the Nova Blast 5, but my disclaimer in that is that I've not run in the Nova Blast 5. I only know about the Nova Blast series because I've run in the Nova Blast series, and I know about the Flight Foam Blast Max because I run in the Glide Ride Max, and I've kind of felt the Nova Blast 5 in my hands. I could feel that it would be a nice squishy bouncy ride too. This might be bouncier, but maybe not as stable. And the Nova Blast 5 is also going to have some outsole issues too, as far as lack of grip in wet conditions. But I can't wait to keep on putting miles in this, especially as I continue to train for the last 3 weeks of Houston Marathon training block, and just am going to need something fun that gets me out the door on those easy days to get that base mileage in. So that's what I have to say about the Mizuno Neo Zen. And it is my honorable mention after the fact of 2024 releases, but it's really dropping in all of its colorways in 2025. So I guess it deserves to be in the 2025 video. Thanks for watching my shoe talk about the Mizuno Neo Zen. Leave a comment if you agree, disagree, or are excited about this shoe or not. Share this video with all of your friends. See if I can get some more subscribers. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers if we can. Don't forget to run your LSD, which this shoe is great for, which could be long, slow distance, or it could be like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next run.